And we are back. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Frame Podcast. We haven't got Ellis with us this week. Unfortunately, can't make it. We've got Femi and Dewan as per usual. Just hand first over to you guys. It's been a while. Dewan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well. Finally got a haircut. Bar was open. People are getting more together. Uh, Lockdown's easing. All good. Um, Unfortunately, we had the sad loss, the Duke. So, things have changed. A lot has happened since our last podcast. One of them was also the ESL League, the European Super League, as they wanted to call it. Luckily, as a Liverpool fan, we didn't get in, as well as the other English clubs. So that sort of died under 48 hours, which was probably the most quickest end of a European tournament of all time. Yeah, I mean, things have happened. How about you guys? How you guys doing?
Well, for me, I'm good. Just been existing and living. Also for me as well. I've got a haircut as well.
Nice
Grew the
one.
beard back properly, and yeah, and I'm just happy that the lockdown is being eased now as well, and hopefully by the 21st of June, Boris won't break his promise. I've just done it for Christmas and every other time. Hopefully, everything will be open, and we can get back to normal. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully things will get back to normal. But just going back to that, I think Femi, you just saying off camera you had something to bring up as well regarding just another point, but you said do say it for the podcast.
Oh yeah, I think it was it about crypto, or is it cryptocurrency what I was talking about,
I
or was it
can't remember. You said you were going to mention something about maybe cryptocurrency.
I'm trying to remember now. It literally just left my head.
Hmm.
Literally just left my head the moment we started to record. Is it cryptocurrency? Yeah, well, okay, we'll get back later, but we can do cryptocurrency. It literally just left my head the moment we were
Yeah,
about.
well, I think I've just started investing in it and doing that cryptocurrency stuff and seeing how that goes. But again, I've kind of gone on from just right, okay, just holding this money. Go right, okay, let me try and invest it. Let me try and grow this portfolio and stuff like that. So I've done a little bit so far, but it's a new avenue for me. But it's one of the things I can see why. Again, it is essentially gambling and it is addictive, but it's seeing the trends and seeing again why I can see why people invest in it, and then their stock goes down, and then they quickly sell it and they go it doesn't work, and I can see why, because it's like any stock. You're
Yeah.
supposed to give it time and patience, and it's just not like that at all. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's definitely true because even for me too, like back in the day, obviously not when it wasn't known, but back when it was starting to get known, I did get into it a little bit, but never thought it would amount to anything really. I was just like, yeah, I'll just put
Yeah.
like £5 in,
Hmm.
and yeah, and yeah, I put maybe £5 into bitcoins or something, but it's not a lot now. It's not even a lot. It's still very little because it's really
Well,
it's,
you need a lot of money to start investing into it,
yeah.
just to climb the ladder. Because if you start investing now, because of the margin being so much in difference, for how much you put in and the amount that you might make out of it, the margin is so steep that you will have to give it time to get into the levels of good profit margins. You have to, be very patient with it. Take your time with it. Study it as well. I would say. So it's a lot of not just money being invested, but time and your patience. So it's a lot of strategy you have to use working on it. And you learn quite a lot with it while you're doing it. But again, it's something that if you can do, go ahead. If you're a risk taker, go ahead, do it. But if you're someone who's very cautious, I would say, take your time, learn about it before you
Hmm.
start investing.
Exactly. It's your decision at the end of the day, regardless of what happens and what. Don't just listen to what I say. Do your own research and have a look, because if you, I think it's a good idea. However, to each their own. Do you know what I mean? So again, if you had a little bit in it, Femi, earlier, it could have transformed into something now, but it's not. It's not your. Again, what's nice about cryptocurrency is you can start at like some of them. If the smaller stuff is like less than 80p for a share.
Yeah.
So you can get in that way and then go, okay, and have a play about with it. And what's nice, you can just take your money out any time as well. So it is quite nice in that aspect. And there's so many different ways and so many different people telling you so many different things. So it's just like anything, but it's I don't think it's as daunting as like the stock market, which is like obviously huge banking industries and stuff like that. Even then, even though they're still investing in cryptocurrency, it feels like it's because it's controlled more by the people. And they don't let certain things slide. They don't let it get away with, and also they keep everything using blockchain. Again, I only found out about this technology recently, but they keep everything honest, so you can see people are doing transactions like this, like this, like this. You can't see who's going what where because it's encrypted, but it keeps people honest that this money's going through the system at one time, so it's not like completely hidden from anybody, and that's what people quite like about it. It's honest.
That's true. That's true. Because I do feel like, obviously, like crypto in comparison to the stock market, I feel like crypto is a bit more easier to understand. Like, you do have to do your research, but I do feel like you can get the hang of it a lot quicker than it is for the stock market. As you said, Neil, that the stock market is owned by by corporations, the banks, and all those things. While crypto at this point, it's free. You can. It's not owned by anybody. So we have at least now we have the right to be able to go in there, invest what we want, not be scared that the banks are watching, or the government is watching. You can invest what you want, and with time and patience, you can make big money. Just imagine investing a little, like, imagine you invested like £100 in Bitcoin back in the day, and then 2021 fast forward, remember your logins for Coinbase, and then you open and then you see your £100,000
But
rich.
I think it's the wrong mentality. Again, it's imagine if, but Femi, it's like imagine if there's those situations where we could have, but we didn't, and that's okay. We just got to learn from it now, because if that's the case, then you'll never start something. Imagine if because I started playing guitar at 17. I could have thought, well, imagine if I started playing at 8, I'd be much better by now. But you just start now. Like, you can't change anything that's happened in the past. So I'd say if you want, but again, it's up to you and that. And we'll again, I'm meeting Femi for the first time in God knows how long.
I know, right?
Since the pandemic started. I mean, we're going to meet up for the first time on Saturday.
I know.
That's going to be something in itself.
Yeah. It'll be groundbreaking. Need to roll out the red carpet and everything, because
Yeah, I ain't got that. I've got a towel. It's red. That's all I got.
You put the red and buy artificial flowers to throw on the floor.
like you're getting married or something.
I know, but I am happy that, obviously, the lockdown is being eased. That it's just it's just the fact that, at least for now, we can meet up with other people, and we can enjoy ourselves, I guess. Just enjoy our time, and spend time more with loved ones and stuff like that. But for the vaccine, and obviously those people who are using COVID as an excuse to not meet up with your family.
I don't know. I think they're just trying to save money, man. They don't want to get out the house, probably.
Oh my gosh! And like for the vaccine as well. I'm not sure. Did you guys hear anything about the AstraZeneca one, saying that apparently it's not like working or something like that, or it's causing blood clot or something?
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of reports. Europe, a lot of them have. A lot of the European countries have banned the AstraZeneca vaccines.
Yeah.
And there's been a bit of a loss going on, but I think Matt Hancock released some sort of statement that there's been about 60 million more vaccinations being purchased from AstraZeneca for the autumn. Those who are in waiting list for autumn to get vaccinated. So yeah, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of information that it's causing harm, and then there's another information that actually, especially the British, that they're very proud of their vaccine and they're gonna go ahead with it. And if it's working for the amount of people who've already taken it, then
it must be working.
it must be working.
It outweighs the risk, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, look, it's like every other thing, you're allergic to nuts, or you're allergic to a specific. No, but it's true.
I know what you mean.
We'll have
all
three of us will have some nuts, right? Seriously, all three of us will have some nuts. Depending on the type of nuts that we eat. One of us is going to have a reaction, the others isn't. It's just human nature,
Die,
yeah, as long as we don't die, of course. Fingers crossed to that.
There has to be death involved.
Yeah, it has to be.
Nuts equals death. That's the title of the podcast, hey.
But yeah, like I said, it's part of human nature. There will always be a reaction to it. Everybody's bodies are different. And what we're allergic to, how we treat ourselves, the way it's vaccinated, anything. So someone will have something like a blood clot reaction to it. So it's something expected. Even paracetamol. If you read the paracetamol guidelines, it specifies that you're likely to get blood clot from it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it says that as well, and the prescription, the guide, the information leaflet. It actually says there is likeliness of blood clot.
Jeez, didn't know that at all. But again, it's like just trying to live in a healthy way. But no, I agree. It's like 4 people in like 300,000. So something there's bound to be an anomaly for somewhere. Femi's gone, but hopefully we'll be back in a second. But yeah, I think he froze early on. But I think things are bound to happen. You're back. Okay, cool. I think you heard what we're talking about, just vaccines and stuff. But I think there's bound to be people that are like, as you said, Duan, that are going to have an allergic reaction, are going to have a resistance to it. As in like, just like again, like the flu or something like that, flu jab as well. Probably same thing there.
Yeah. But again, we also need to remember that it hasn't. I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's been tested to the levels of most vaccines or medicine, because sometimes it needs more than years to create a vaccine. But it was done within less than a year, so it doesn't seem like enough time and testing has gone through these vaccinations. But at the end of it, it does seem like it's a very positive thing at the moment, with the amount of people who have already taken it and having less of those reactions.
So the pros outweigh the con, I guess.
In some ways you could say that, yeah.
The pro being we can try and get back to an altered state that we were before in March.
Yeah. Wow. That's some time away. That's been wow. It just makes me remember when they were initially just talking about the pandemic and saying that when they were delaying the announcements of calling COVID, a pandemic, and everyone was just like, it needs to be called a pandemic soon, or it's gonna spread, and here we are. How many months? Is it over a year now?
Yeah, yeah, way over a year. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's a year and nearly, over a month. A year and a month. The first lockdown.
Wow, and here we are now. All like
same thing, different day.
I
forget the days even now.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I know. I think you can watch. People can watch our podcast and kind of see the drain of energy in each podcast with all three of us. Like in the first one, obviously when we just had the first lockdown, we were full with energy and we're like, yeah, we've got a lockdown, it's all good. Yeah, and as the episode keeps going.
That is just so boring now.
No,
you want to get out. And...
Femi, the context
like,
is we've been talking for like an hour and a half before this.
I know, right?
Well,
it's true. We have been talking for an hour.
Yeah, so it's like we've talked a lot. Again, we're not used to talking for this period of time in one go as well. A lot of the time you stay silent. I remember sometimes I was like, you go to a meeting or something, you're like, oh, sugar, I've not used my voice all day.
It's true.
And you're like, oh, and your voice goes, and you're like, oh, what happened there?
That is actually true. I think even for me, I remember back in the day, I did used to dread that actually, where I'll just be sitting down and if you've not said anything for a while, and then they ask you a question, and then when you open your mouth, and then you just obviously have that croakiness, and you're like, oh gosh, I just embarrassed myself.
If this helps, do you remember at one time at Coventry where I lost my voice?
Neil, you losing your voice? Imagine Neil losing his voice.
I did. I think the one you were there for me as well.
That, yeah.
I was doing a presentation. I was doing like a pub quiz for some of the people at university, and then after that I just like, I'm not feeling too good. I need to go to bed, and then I lost my voice. Like I genuinely couldn't talk for like 3 days straight. Couldn't talk.
Neil not being able to talk. Well, did your voice sound raspy and deep?
I think the one. No.
Yeah, I was there because you had to just keep on drinking your water just to get your voice back. It was just.
Oh yeah, that you were like that you could. Oh.
I just couldn't. It was so strange, man. You know, like where you know when your leg goes numb and you like get pins and needles. Yeah. It's like that. Your body goes, wait, hang on. You're supposed to be able to do this thing again and again. But you can't, so you're like, well, what do I do? So I was like, I'm just gonna stay mute, and then I just couldn't. I just had to whisper.
I remember you just whispering away. Do I? It's like, what's going on?
We're like, we finally got some peace and quiet.
On that note, I'm leaving now. I'll see you guys in a bit. Yeah. Fair enough.
Oh my days,
it's weird losing your voice though.
Yeah,
it's your main form. It's like it's your main form of communication to other people. Is by talking.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like because when I was studying in IT and everything, the stereotypes of people on IT that they can't interact with people, they are very antisocial, they can't function in normal day-to-day life because we're all nerds or geeks or whatever.
In some ways.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're not that. We're different. We're built different, but still.
I was going through an interesting situation where I was getting myself and the wife. Well, my wife hasn't ever watched Star Wars, so I got. So far, I've gone, going through a Star Wars run, if you want to call it, where we started from the rubbish first three, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Then we moved over to Han Solo, Rogue One, and then we watched the original three. And she was so like the first three, she was like, okay, she seemed like she was getting bored of it. But when it got to the original three, she got really interested, and her mood started. I was like, okay, so you can see why the original three are so popular and lovable.
You have to hold on for like 5 hours for the movie, and then you get into the good bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. But even I can say, but did you guys see the Justice League, the Snyderverse version?
Oh man, what a difference that was to the theatrical cut, isn't it? It was way better. I love that movie. That was brilliant.
Way better. I stayed up at 4 a.m. watching it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We watched it from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. straight. I was like, wow, man. I didn't even know it was 4 o'clock in the morning because I don't know about you, but when I was watching it, it didn't feel too long.
Nah.
It felt, like you just you wanted
Just
more.
sit
At
down,
the end,
watch
I
it.
was like, I want to watch more of it. I don't want it
Yeah,
to end there.
yeah. I know what I'm saying. Like, is it a 4 hour long movie?
Yeah, 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 4 hour long movie. So no, you should watch it. I'm telling you, when you've got the time, just like I think it's on Now TV or
Now
is it Now
TV.
TV?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now TV. Just maybe on one of the weekends, and you're like when you've got nothing to do and like, and you can just sit down for 4 hours.
Do you know what? It's one of those things where I was like, I should organize. I don't say I don't organize my time better, but the problem is, even when I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I have 4 hours to watch. I like watching films with people. I don't like watching films on my own.
Uh,
Yeah, I
I'm
know
one of
what you
them
mean.
gross. Yeah.
people as well. So instead, we watch Borat, and we're like, what the? A couple of times, we're like, what are they saying? What is going
What is
on?
going
And it's
on
funny
there?
just to laugh and joke and stuff about. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
Especially since you've not watched it, and we're like, are you serious? Is this what's happening? And that's I like that part of it, but watching it on my own is not the same.
Oh yeah, that's true. I get you. Yeah. Because obviously you can discuss with each other and be like, yeah, look, what's that stupid stuff going?
And you're like, are you serious? Is this what's happening? And then I'm just cracking up because I know what's coming. Like that's fun. But
Yeah.
the idea of watching a series and stuff on my own, I don't really agree. Not that I don't agree with it. I don't want to do it. If you want to do it yourself. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't lie though, the Borat movie was pretty.
Yeah, the
Oh,
first one, I
hilarious.
remember watching it back in, when it first came out.
Mhm.
And I was like, what the hell did I just watch? I haven't watched as number 2 yet, so I haven't watched number 2.
Number 2 is up there. Is number 2 is okay. Nothing can beat the original, just generally.
Mhm.
Number 2 is more political and is more about coronavirus and stuff like that as well. But it is really good still. Some of the scenes and people he interviews and stuff is just he's still really, really good. I don't want to spoil the ending, but the ending is mad as well.
I need to see it then. But what I just believe, like the people that he interviews, like, do they know that they're being played? Or
I don't think they
that
are.
good.
I don't
If you
think-
listen to his interviews afterwards, like what
Yeah.
if he goes, the levels of stress he has to go to in this one.
yeah,
I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a scene where if you watch the behind the scenes or like the stuff that's online, he gets threatened and he's ready to go. Like there's a van pulled up and he drives across, head down, right, and people are throwing rocks and stuff at the van and the van's just taking off.
yeah.
Like he's literally and these guys were armed with guns and stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, and like big AR-15s and like big guns,
With
and
rifles.
he's like, I've just got to do it now. I've got to do it. He's literally risking his life at times to make this film. It's crazy.
Whoa.
That's Sacha Baron, though. He
Yeah.
takes risks, though. He does.
Properly. I mean, he's going into like conservative Christian in another part. Goes into I think he goes into like the deep south,
Yeah.
and he goes, this is how strict it was, right? And they had a wrestling ring, and they had chairs around it, and they love wrestling down there. So the beginning, they start to wrestle. There's 2 wrestlers, and they start like becoming gay lovers, and the whole crowd starts turning on them, starts flipping stuff, and imagine they had to plan this ahead of time. They had to build an escape chute through the middle to lead to the outside so they could get in the car and go, because they knew they couldn't get out of that ring once they got in, because they would just kill them. So they literally built an escape chute in the bottom of the wrestling pit, wrestling arena, so they can climb out and then get into the car and just leave. It's mad. Like, this is why like there won't be another Sacha Baron Cohen that's doing the level of stuff that he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I think our generation is way too sensitive, like for not even our generation, the next generation, because we're already considered old already. The
I know what you mean, but also it's like it's easy to say, but I think some of the stuff that was unacceptable has become unacceptable as well. So it's kind of like a balance of it. Like I think he's generation because nobody's going to go through the same things that he did. And also, society's going to be a lot more accepted of the LGBT community.
100%.
Do you see what I mean? So in this situation where it's the perfect storm of stuff, he's playing into that stereotype, and he's going to, like, I think it's brilliant, but we won't have that situation again. It's not because we're getting more soft, but also comedy has a way of changing in the same way that comedy that's looked there was people in the when we were growing up in the 90s that were black comedians and all they did was trash black people.
That is true.
Do you know what I mean? And so that's become unacceptable, not because we say freedom of speech, no, because of like, come on, man. But that was the only role they could fulfill at the time, which was black people are bad.
Yeah,
and that's not. Do you see what I mean? So it's more of a nuance rather than PC, which I get, and there is part of it. But at the same time, there is also comedians that you look at them and you go, come on, man, you're just making it Asian. Your whole thing is just bashing Asians. And it wasn't just that. If you look at the old Looney Tunes and stuff, they were well racist.
They were.
Properly racist. And so you could say from people in the 90s, say, oh, yeah, Looney Tunes, they were just, do you know what I mean? The political correctness gone mad.
I guess, you know. Yeah, I guess, you know, I guess so, you know, like Duan, what do you think? I know that obviously Duan is censoring himself now a lot.
Censoring
the Duan I know in the past. The Duan I know in the past.
No, but you know, you got to, you know, you can make a few jokes in here in a group of people who you can trust, but obviously when you're going outside and you got to be a bit more formal. And you gotta respect, you know, especially if you're putting your tone up and making jokes about somebody who is very offensive, which will become very offensive to a stranger, if you want to call it, at the outside. You gotta be careful what you say. Nowadays, wherever you say, even on PlayStation, if your voice is being recorded on the PS5, so if you say a few words, so for example, you know, you're playing against some people online that you've never met before, you don't know who they are, you message them or you send them a voice over of saying something like, you know, calling them names, they can use that against you and get you banned permanently.
Jeez.
And you know, but what, like for example, this weekend, there's going to be this I don't know what they're calling it, social band or something, so against racism. So players who are getting racially abused, what's going on is all the media outlets and all the, you know, the social, so for example, BT Sports or anything related to football or other Instagram, things like that, all the players, clubs, they're going to not use online social media to sort of ban people from using abusive racial words against their players. Because we've had obviously multiple circumstances and situations where not just players but humans are being racially abused, and there's a time where they need to stop that, obviously. And I think, you know, if you remember when Donald Trump got banned for doing what he did, you can see that there's been this sort of power, you know, that social media do have the power to ban you if they wanted to. So now is a time for where if they see something wrong, that they start banning, you know, those profiles and accounts, and you know, put a proper stop into these, you know, abusive words and racial, not just racism but anything, you know, that's offensive. Even someone threatening, that could turn out something dirty at the end, you know. They should put it across on social media, and those platforms need to start stopping of these things. I mean, there's multiple ways, as you know, in IT you could even put an automated script down to analyze, scan words that's being used, and then you know, sending them to those platforms to investigate them.
Well, we can do it even on here in terms of even at the YouTube. You can blacklist words for this channel.
Yeah.
So if we don't want to include the word, I don't know, Corona, the word, I don't know, basketball, we can blacklist that word and we will never see another comment that contains the word basketball. Even as simple as in the channel that we've got at the moment.
But do you think? But do you think that's a bit? Do you guys support it, or do you think it's a bit too extreme
Well,
as to
no,
where
it's extreme.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends on the
Depends.
situation.
It's the context, yeah.
Yeah, if let's say, racial abuse, let's say somebody making, yeah, if it's a joke and it's something in a community where it's probably the person accepts it, maybe that's okay. But if it's going out into the public where
Mhm.
it's being used as very offensive and people are having a very negative emotion reaction to it, then obviously there has to be an end to stop that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also it depends on, because obviously once it goes on the internet,
Yeah.
can't get it off. Let's say, Femi, obviously on an extreme end of it, we can just put our mobile numbers in the blacklist, because if somebody decides to leak it,
Mm.
if we have a way of stopping it, we can.
And yeah, obviously we should be able to.
So we
do
should
that.
be able to stop our own mobile ever getting leaked, something like that, or private information of our families and stuff.
Mhm.
So that on that end, but again, I personally just I don't know if this is useful in terms of the ban. I mean, I want to support stuff that's anti-racism, but I'm like, for me they concentrate too much on just racism is bad, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, but it's not followed up by anything. Oh, we're going to go off social media. I'm like, well, okay, but I don't know how you guys feel, but it's not like, oh wow, that's going to solve the problem. And
Yeah,
I'm not expecting
exactly.
them to solve the problem, but it's like it's more. For me, the problem isn't racism. The problem is educating people about the issue, and in my opinion, some of the issue is some of the mainstream media and the way that they're portraying. We were speaking before, Femi. When a white guy is a terrorist, when he's never called a terrorist, he's called a right-wing extremist, and this and the other. When a Muslim's or a brown person or a black person, the first thing that's mentioned. Things like that are really hurtful to our communities. Really hurtful. But they don't get that. But they'd rather concentrate on the one guy that said the N-word at a football match.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my point of, yes, I think it's useful, it's great, but it's not going to solve the issue, and the issue is systemic throughout society. And but in general, I don't think the majority of people are bad or good. Sorry,
Yeah.
are bad people. They're good people. So to chastise all of them as this, I think is so. I'm concentrating on, because they want to divide and conquer, and that's my problem. Okay, racist versus non-racist. Well, no, because it's not like that, is it?
I know it's not. That's too black and white. I just feel like it's the media that obviously, the media that is trying to perpetuate the just to incite hatred between people, basically. It's as I said, the divide and conquer mentality. That okay, if we don't get everyone, if we get the poor people hating the rich people, that would cause them problem. If we get black people hating white people, that's them as well. If we get Asian people hating, white people, or we just get everyone hating each other, and you can never say rule us or just control everything, which is what they've always done and will keep doing. And I feel like until we ourselves kind of understand that actually, we're all in the same boat. We're not different. We're literally all in the same boat. We're just all trying to survive. We're all trying to live. We're all just trying to live our life the best we can. So if we can all understand that, I think then that's probably where we can break out of this cycle of, oh, okay, this person that was attacked, and if the media mentioned that it was attacked because it was racist, then we all jump in and say, oh yeah, oh, it's racist, was it? And then we just start losing our minds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Until we move on, until we realize that, I think we're just gonna keep hating each other really, and yeah, we're never gonna stop,
It's like we want to see that bad person, and we go, okay, that's the bad person, and as soon as they're locked away, then racism done. It's like, well, it's not as easy as that, and it's not just as straightforward, and that's why I say racism, sure, but there's also the classism aspect, and there's also like that aspect as well, where we look at people and we just go, people aren't being treated fairly. Do you know what I mean? And that's injustice in general. So that's my thing of, yes, racism. I think the majority of people say, oh yeah, if somebody is discriminated against because of their color of their skin, that's bad. We go, sure, but what about other factors? Like, for example, if black people are 9 times more likely to get stopped and searched compared to a white person, that's just that's racism.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? And a minority is 3 or 4 times more likely. If you're black, it's 9. That's a form of racism that I'm like, yeah, I can get behind, because that's not equal. Treat us all equally. But for some reason, that's not picked up as wrong.
It's the I think it's the surface level.
Look at the way this knife crime's been talked about, when knife crime is at an all-time low in this country. It's still teenage black boys. It's someone that we got from America. Same thing again. That's more racism than one man. Again, if somebody says something on social media that's racist, I can just turn it off. I can't get. How can I turn off stop and search? How can I turn off these things that actually affect me in my real life?
Exactly.
That's my point anyway.
That makes sense. How are you gonna, if the police are doing a stop and search and it's only on a categorized subject, I would say, because it's not actually, they don't see people as a person, they see them as a subject. Okay, their color, what color are they? What tracksuits are they wearing? What clothes are they wearing to actually fit that subject? Then I'm going to do a stop and search. So there is that sort of racism and discrimination and stereotypical being used on our daily lives in political avenue as well. So it's a very difficult situation, because if you're going to, like you said, on the social media, obviously, negative, there will be always a negative comment, racism comment, or, whatever people will say just for a joke. I'm not saying it's acceptable because it's a joke. And what I'm saying is there are people who create fake accounts, right, to just do that sort of activity. Now you saying I'm going to leave because some weirdo who we don't even know what their name is, in the name of I don't know, some Boris Johnson. They create an account called Boris Johnson with the Boris Johnson's picture and then say some racist words. They're just going to turn off the social media. How does that work? That person's going to go onto another profile and do the same thing.
Same again.
So how do you stop that? Well, the platform has to do a situation, where to find that. Like you said, they can blacklist comments that you use in videos. Then you can do that in comments that you make. And if they look for those specific words being used, they can just stop you. Or analyze the text before you press send. When you press send and a notification comes up to say, hang on a second, you're using these words, we're not allowing you to send those messages. Then that would start creating this, actually, instead of the people, the victims leaving the platform, it's the suspects or the people creating those negativity to actually leave the platform. So it makes a difference.
Yeah. But do you think that is there's a thin line between censorship and free speech? Because
free speech is gone, man. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's just when someone says, "Well, I've got freedom of speech." I don't know what that is. Freedom of speech is gone. Obviously, there is a freedom of speech of what your views are, but you've got to say things in the correct way. In a very formal way when you're using that freedom of speech. But if you're using the freedom of speech to create a negative reaction from the person, then obviously that's not right.
Bro, that's Twitter. I swear to God, since ever
Twitter is just another world.
God, I'm so glad I've got a small following or whatever on there, because I'm like, I've got a small following and I'm had enough of it already. It's just like, I'm like, mate, people post so much rubbish, and I'm like, nobody cares. Like, first of all, your life's not important.
And just people.
Yeah, and I'm just like, people. And what's funny is there's account, and I've experienced this now when I've spoken to bigger creators as well, not trying to flex or anything, but they've said there's people that are out there that want their team to fail so they can prove their point, and like, it's so strange. People want to cry and go, well, it's rubbish, everything's terrible, blah, 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 and then just wallow in that self-pity.
Yeah.
Oh, we're terrible. And then I'm like, when they come on our channel, I'm just like, no, I'm not letting that. I say to them in the video, If you want to go cry on somebody else's channel. Then come back here once you've stopped crying, then we can have a conversation. Because that's what it feels like. I'm not having this hysteria. We're fine. People just like to be, people. I think that the strong reaction gets more follows than being realistic and being like, hey, well, let's look on the positive things. That doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I think we've gotten to a point now where it's like it's better to be a victim than to be a survivor or to be a winner. It's better to be like, oh, I'm not doing well in life. I'm just wallowing in sadness. Basically, it seems as if the society maybe praises you more when you're a victim. Hence, why you have people or everyone crying now, or if they're going through something, they would rather wallow in it instead of saying, actually, I survived it and I came out of it and and I'm a winner. So it's like,
strange, isn't it, that someone will like to, cry about something and we start laughing at them. Well, what they're, in some ways, the human side of it is very strange that we, instead of actually sending a message out and saying, look, man or woman, can you just, if you're crying about something, just don't do it on the platform, on the internet. Just do it in your own spare time. But then for us, there's actual channels out there, like Neil was saying, that people actually make these sort of reactions that I actually follow and watch because I laugh. I know it sounds wrong, but in some ways they want those views, so I give them that view.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of, it makes me, in some weird way satisfied. But when you look back at it and you think about it, you're like, why does that please me? If that actually, if someone's crying next to me, outside of this online situation on the internet, if they're actually next to me, I'll be like, hey, excuse me, do you need any support? Do you need help? What's wrong? Do you want to talk to me about it? Offer that sort of support being around them. But in the internet, it's a very weird situation where it's just a different world from.
It is, and I think what was, I'm not trying to say all of Twitter is like that, even though I've just done it about 5 minutes ago. What I'm saying is that there's everything, but for some reason, when it the old expression, when it rains, it pours. When something little happens, it just seems like this great big wave of negativity comes along with it, and I'm just like, there's no need for it. Sometimes there is genuinely times like, what is going on? But you can get again, it's I don't want to again, but again, if you want to pay attention to the good side, there's definitely the good side of it as well. So again, I think we were speaking when you came over, Femi, and Manny, we were talking on one of the podcasts, and we were talking about how we can create our own timelines, we can create our own feeds, we can show information that we want to see, which is good and bad, because we don't need to look, because it's one side of it is obviously like the mainstream media side. You watch the news, you're like, this isn't relevant, I can't do anything, this is what's the point? And the other side is you can get stuck in a bubble. So it's kind of like this mixture of both is probably is a happy medium.
Yeah, I think so. And also I do feel like that, going back to what Duane said, that if you've got someone next to you and they're crying, you've been a lot more compassionate in comparison to when you're on the internet. Is that I think maybe on the internet, we maybe kind of disassociate ourselves to that human connection that you would normally feel when you're actually with someone. Let's say that's probably why on the internet you have like cyberbullying, where it's easier for you to just type something negative, send it to that person. You won't see their reaction, you won't even see how they feel. You can just do it. Oh, I hate you. You go die, type it, send, and that's it. You won't see that negative response. Well, obviously, if you're able to see that person and you say that to them, you can watch that response. Would you watch the response, and you can even get the straight up repercussion, because they might be able to knock you out. So it's like it's like, yeah, exactly.
Anonymous,
so, while on the internet, you're just hiding behind a monitor, and it's like, you lose that human aspect of things. So that's why you can watch someone on the internet and they'll be crying their eyes out, and sometimes you can, it's funny, you can laugh at it, and it's wrong, but it's just that we just can't.
And it's the short term as well. because I can at least say, even for the stuff I've said here, even though I've been a bit feeling down or whatever, I don't regret what I've said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't look back and go, yeah, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that.
It's also like what you're saying in terms of the internet is like the when people are trying to do I don't know, Tinder or meetups, and there's this thing called catfish.
Ooh, catfishing.
It's like when you know the guy or the woman or whoever, let's say person A and person B, they start to meet up, and then they meet up. They go to the meeting point, and they're looking around, and especially person A who has the correct profile picture and put themselves out there, but person B is imitating themselves as somebody else.
Yes.
And they put a different profile picture, and they're there as well. And the person A looks at person B and like, hang on a second, you're not that person. What's going on? You got a catfish, mate.
Just got cat.
But it's so strange how these people actually, do those scenarios. Is like, you took all that time and effort to pretend to be somebody else, and then fool that person, and cause this sort of negativity at the end.
That's true, actually. I feel like I know the internet itself is affected a lot of things. Like I know, even as you said, even for dating and stuff, that it's the fact that online dating has kind of come into the mix as well. It's I think it's got it's positive and it's negative, because you've got like the fact that you can meet people that you probably would never expect to ever meet. But it's now got the part where obviously you can be catfished, that you don't know the person you're actually talking to is that person that you are talking to. So it's got its positive, and it's negative, but I don't know which I would say I prefer. Because I have actually tried online dating too.
How did that go, man? Yeah, reveal it, mate. Reveal it. How did that go?
I'm not even gonna reveal that. That's private.
Get us to 1 million subscribers, then Femi will get it. Then
yeah, I'll reveal it.
Did you get catfish as well, mate? Yeah.
Femi was Beyonce Knowles.
I'll reveal that when we get to 1 million. So, and I'll say, like, okay, in comparison for both, like, I'd say I do prefer the one where you can meet, where you kind of meet the person face to face than it is for online, because when you meet the person face to face, you can kind of already feel the vibe and build a rapport immediately. You just can see each other and just be able to read the body language and all that. Well, obviously for online dating, it's all this texting and stuff, which kind of takes time and kind of builds a false sense of maybe attachment or something.
Yeah.
And I'm giving a good review for all the young men out there, or all the young people out there. I obviously want to go into that market. I want to see which one they would prefer. But personally, for me, I would prefer the one where you can meet someone in the library, maybe. I'm like, oh, hey, I've been seeing you here. How you doing?
Time to time.
Yeah.
Still reading that book.
I can see you're concentrating on your studies rather than your makeup, so that's a good thing.
Exactly. I've always been seeing you walking up and down. How's David, and start a conversation that way. Than obviously the other way.
I mean, you can't. That's a bit of a dead conversation starter. Not gonna lie.
I know. Well,
I've been walking up and down, and
no,
I've got some shoes on. So have you? We got a lot in common.
No. Nah. You just, you just, if you've been seeing her, you're just giving her the eye all the time, innit? And just let her know you're interested. And if she's interested, but actually give it to you and you go approach it. and you go approach and you do your thing. But I feel like the internet, in a way, by introducing online dating, the aspect that allowed you to meet people you would never meet, which is good. If it works out, then obviously you have something great. But then it also kind of takes away from from the aspect that that people are becoming a bit more lazy than instead, the fact that you can just meet someone randomly and put in the effort of just talking to them in the store, in the library, anywhere. That's kind of going down and down because it's just a lot more easier to just do it through through online dating. But that's my that's my 2 cents of it. I'll obviously, when we get to 1 million subscribers, then I'll reveal. I'll reveal, I'll reveal how the online dating, how it went. I'll reveal if I got catfished. I'll reveal all the juicy gossip.
I bet you will set up a Patreon or something then. That's like the juicy episode will release on there or something.
Man, I won't lie though, but what I feel is that even going from there, like, I think, do you feel like young men, especially in the West, like, do you think that, do you feel like a lot of them lack any sort of, they're looking for guidance? Like, they always, because if you go on YouTube now, you always see videos of like a lot of like young men, they'll be watching like other men just telling them how to go through life. Like, even, is it Jordan Peterson? For him, for example, he's like an inspirational guy for a lot of young men out there, because it's like they lack that guidance, that focus to just find a path in life, and they just need someone to guide them. Do you feel like young men are lacking that, basically? Like,
Do you want to go? Oh, because
Want to answer the question? Did I put anyone in this
No,
one?
I was saying, do you want
sorry,
to go?
do you want me to have a go? Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Sorry. In terms of inspiration, it's very difficult because I haven't really looked at any videos for inspiration. I do, I don't know how to say it. I just go with the flow. How life is, but I don't look at ways to improve my life. I just look at with life, there's always a decision you have to make that has a consequence. And I always, take my time to make those decisions, but I don't make a decision because someone gave me a guidance of how to do it. I only do that when I have no idea what to do. For example, I don't know, you lose somebody in your lifetime. How do you deal with it? I don't go online and say, okay, someone needs to explain to me what I need to do. I just do it the way I believe I should do it. But I don't know. It's a difficult question because I don't know who watches those videos and why they watch their videos. But if I have those answers, then maybe I can give you a proper, decent explanation. I don't know if Neil and Femi, you guys watch those guidance videos and they help.
For me, they have. Like, I watched them because I was like, I don't know. So, but the thing is, especially with Jordan Peterson, he's great but he's not saying anything that dramatic. He's like, you're worth something. Stand up straight. Get yourself together, and you've got to take accountability. And I think that's really useful. Some of his other stuff, I just like, I don't know how to describe. I'm like, I just don't agree with. But his initial message and his thoughts are very good, and he's obviously very good at what he does, and I think his base points are very good. But I think there is a need for people to be, especially men, to that's what I would have loved to done as well, to mentor and coach and stuff like that. But the problem is there's just no money in it, and I'm going to be honest, as a man, I need to be able to get paid decently, and I don't know how. I can't describe exactly why, but the reason why I can't go into teaching is one of the reasons. I'd love to be a teacher, but the amount of workload you do for the pay you get isn't worth it. And this is what I'm kind of competing with. I'd love to be a mentor if I could do something online or something. That I would love to do that and mentor young people, especially. I think I've got a natural gift for it, but there is just, and I've got to go back to university for 3 years, retrain, and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to be that for somebody else, but in that sense, I don't know. I think they are useful. However, the problem with the internet now is there's a million different voices telling you every different things, and I think it could be quite easy for young people to be brought into. It's the reason why I think gangs are so successful,
Yeah.
Because what they do is they get young people and go, look, we'll give you a purpose, we'll give you a family, we'll give you a reason. And they recruit young people, and then they go, cool, I've got a family, and then before you know it, they're in a hole they can't get themselves out of. I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but that's an example of where men don't have a purpose, and they end up going, right, they'll give me a purpose. I'm not saying in general we are getting better and better, but there isn't a forum where men could just talk openly in the same way that women can.
Yeah.
I don't, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think there is that same format and that same ability to. Like, for example, you don't have a men's equivalent of Loose Women.
That's actually very true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, oh yeah, this and the other, but we don't have that version. And people, the reason why Jordan Peterson's so successful is because he's telling people very basic things, and they just need a little bit of encouragement to go, you are worth something, go and do it and show me. And he's not saying anything revolutionary, but it's
just common sense most of the time, isn't it?
It is, but it's because how many times did you hear that growing up? You're worth something, go and get it and go and achieve it. Not many, anecdotally, I'd speak to most men, we didn't hear that growing up.
Yeah, we're always told that,
get on with it.
Get on with life. I know.
Terrible. You're doing a terrible job.
If you're overweight, go to the gym, go work out. What are you doing? Just don't. How are you loving that?
Work out. You're like, well, at least you're not fat now.
Exactly.
And also, this is a problem with other men as well. We're not willing to outreach and talk to each other in this way. And we've encountered men like this, without naming names, at university and things like that. So we've seen it firsthand as well. So I'm saying, as general, like what I'm loving about doing some of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment, I'm uplifting other communities and like other people with smaller audiences, and that just feels so good in my opinion, to be able to help people out in that way. So maybe I'm not doing it mentally, but just helping people out is just really good way. But yeah, back to, I think Jordan Peterson's got, the reason why he's got such a strong following is that people don't agree with everything he says. However, there is such a lack of people in that space saying what he's saying that people just go, I'll take it. Especially for men, there's the lack of guidance and mentoring, especially because the way that we're programmed and the way that we have to function in society is different. And the way that when we went through puberty and going, what are all these emotions and what am I supposed to do with them?
I know.
There was a lot of that thought of just what is going on with my body and my mind and my face and my voice is gone. Do you know what I mean? Them kind of things I think could be quite useful just to talk about from a, this is going to happen to you. And I think this is a generational thing. It will happen with our parents, weren't the same thing, but I'm going to make sure I don't make the same mistakes with my children and stuff like that. So there's kind of, I think it's a multitude of things.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like when we had our earlier episodes explaining, if you don't want to go to university, you don't have to force yourself. It's not always going to be for everyone. Being in depth for that and putting so much time and effort into your degrees and finding out that it's not worth it in your work life. Things like that. Just to I don't want to say giving inspiration. I mean, it's not really that. It's more of giving information and guidance on, don't always, if you like to do something, go out there and, work hard to get into it, and don't just think that, you're worthless, or, you're not, you don't have the rights to do it because you don't have A or B or whatever you need. Just go and work hard to, if you enjoy something, go out there and do it. Basically, that's what it should be. Yeah. And like you said, having inspiration videos, women tend to, I don't want to sound like we're being sexist here, but women do tend to have this sort of very emotion inside of them where they, if they get nervous making a specific decision, or
they rely on the community to bring them to. Okay, don't worry.
Exactly.
But isn't that same? Sorry. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, what were we saying? The one, yeah.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. They need that sort of guidance or someone or that support around them to push them to make that decision. Whereas men, someone like myself, I'm saying I don't need someone to make the decision for me or to assist me. I can read it and look at it and say, okay, I believe I should do A or B or whatever it has to be. But yeah, it's like what we were saying.
Yeah, no, your camera is going a bit blurry though. I think your camera is going.
Oh, it does this. I
Yeah.
don't know why. Okay, but what might have to continue. Sometimes it does this. I'm not sure
Oh,
why.
okay. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah. For,
but yes, again, you continue, Femi. I'll try and
okay.
sort this out.
From going from what you were saying, Duan, that is actually true. That although you said that obviously for you, you don't necessarily obviously need someone to to help you, or not even help you, but to
No, I
just give
mean,
you
look, there
advice.
will be a moment where I'll need some
Mhm.
guidance or help,
Yes,
but
yeah,
someone to explain to me that I am, I don't know, some positive words to push me
yeah,
and be encouraged. I don't
mhm,
need that. If you want to do something, and you got a decision to make, you should
yeah,
be, you should already be encouraged to do so. You don't need
mhm.
someone to push you
Push
to
you,
do
yeah,
what you want to
yeah,
do. You should
yeah,
have that enthusiasm built
mhm,
inside of you.
mhm.
So it
Yeah.
is like
And
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
I know. I'm saying that. I understand. Yeah, I understand. But I'm just saying that. Let's say, but for we boys, men growing up, from a young age, let's say we've always been given that positive response, or that positive praise and everything. Don't you think that that would also play into how we become as an adult? Like, don't you think that we would actually now become that kind of, obviously, naturally, we men are supposed to be go-getters. Like, that's how women too are, but just in terms of how biology is and stuff, that we're just more of that. We need to hunt. We need to kill animals back in the day.
mhm.
Obviously, not now, but still. But what I'm just saying is that, let's say from when we were kids, we're not being told that to just, like, if you're crying, stop crying, just suck it up. Or if you injure yourself, they'll be like, don't worry, he's gonna hear, what are you doing? Just, you're a dude, you're a man, just let it go. If we were actually allowed to explore our emotions and actually feel like, okay, if you are sad, you do have the right to feel sad. If you're hurt, you have that right to feel hurt. Feel it. Let that
Mhm.
emotion pass. Don't you think that men would grow up being a bit more open, like a bit more open and able to talk with each other?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for we men, right, for us to get to a point, like, if I'm having an issue, for it to get to a point that I will have to seek out advice, it would have to be
Mhm.
so bad that I'll be like, okay, I can't deal with this myself. Then I will be forced to seek advice or seek help from someone else. Because for me, I'm like, okay, I'm a man. I need to solve my issue myself. I need to sort all of this myself, and I will try, obviously, to not to not seek advice. When in
Mhm.
actuality, if I was to just seek advice, I would
Yeah.
solve the issue so quickly. So
And
it,
the issue that
yeah.
happens, Femi,
Mhm.
when it's in our head, it just goes round and round and round and round, and it just creates this massive thing. When in
Yeah,
reality, it's not actually that big a thing. People are just like,
exactly.
no, it's not like that at all. And you're like, oh
Exactly.
yeah, maybe. And even by even expressing it and getting it out there,
That's
you go,
it.
oh, I feel better. I don't even need you to respond, or because I think a part of us as well is just to go. We need to try and solve everything. Okay, let me try and solve your issue. Sometimes you don't need it.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
again, again, it's a generational thing, and I think this whole thing about the stigma with mental health and stuff, it is coming back through that as well.
Yeah. That is why a lot of men, they say a lot of men are suffering from mental health, like a lot, because they won't tell you what they're suffering from or how they're feeling. But when obviously, if you were to get them alone in a room and you actually let them talk, then they'll be able to come out and actually say, yes, this is what I'm going through.
Mm.
I'm not that happy. I'm actually going through a lot of hardship in my life. And I feel it would be good to have an avenue where where men can somehow relieve themselves and just allowed to be themselves, instead of having to always put on this hard mask on every time and
Yeah.
every like, for example, let's say when we used to hang out at Neil's place. Oh yeah, when we used to hang out together, just us, just enjoying playing FIFA, or just drinking, doing whatever. That's us just being us and just
Yeah,
chilling.
that's social aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Not being alone, because
yeah.
as they usually say, is it's best to have a bad friend than be lonely,
Mm,
because that loneliness will drive you mental. You think of things that will cause you to suffer, rather than stay positive. But when you're with your friends or with your family or in a community and you're taking part, having conversations, and these different subjects you talk about, like what we're doing, it sort of helps your mind. Your mind thought sort of process sort of clears out. It's like a memory cache. You need it to be cleared with all this rubbish stuff inside it. So it's nice to have these sort of conversations. If videos help, go out there, watch those videos of people explaining things to you that that you're going through. But if you're always with somebody and you're always in a family and a community, you always have a positive mindset of things.
That is true. Have you got anything to add, Neil? Or
no, but again, especially during this period, especially when we can't meet up in person, we can't have that community. So the best thing we can do is through video chats and these kind of things. Literally, there is no other way we could do this. So it's good that we have the option of doing it now at a minimum.
Yeah, that is true. But I think, should we start calling it because
I was going to say, we'll wrap it up, because again, we've been talking for such a long time beforehand. We didn't realize we were going to do it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you got something from it. But thank you once again for paying attention. We really like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see everybody in the next video. So see you later.
Yeah.